Hello fellow dicers. This is a video I never expected to be making. It's about Dragon Age Veilguard, and it's a game that I never intended to buy. And indeed I haven't. So EA have released a trial of the game, which gives you 5 hours to play, which is quite nice, bearing in mind most of the trials on PlayStation are only 2 hours. I can understand why they've given 5, because Dragon Age games historically have been pretty large, so just giving 2 hours you'd probably get partway through the intro. I have to say right from the start, I'm actually enjoying playing it. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but I want to go into why I enjoy playing it. First and foremost, the visuals. They are stunning. Dragon Age Inquisition wasn't too bad looking for a game, but there's just something extra about this. It's probably the fact it's on PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't know what the PlayStation 5 version looks like, but it is extremely smooth, and even on performance mode, which I'm currently playing in the gameplay that's on screen, it still looks really good. I mean, don't get me wrong, the water effects there of the water that's flying into the sky doesn't look 100% perfect. It still looks quite angular, but that's to be expected. They're trying to do something weird with water. The water effects in the background and actually flowing through the river are still very nice. One of the complaints that I've seen most often is the characters. Now, I do not have a problem with most of them. And I'm going to say most of them because there is one group that I do have a problem with, and that group is the Qunari. Now, the Qunari, if you play Dragon Age Inquisition, is the race that Bull was a part of, and they were humanoid, definitely, but they did have their own particular facial features. So the nose literally went straight into the forehead, for example. In this, they are very human looking. They're humans with horns, in effect, and I just don't quite think that's the correct aesthetic. Now, don't get me wrong, they make changes to characters all the time. The Khajiit in the Elder Scrolls is a prime example. So in Morrowind, they actually had backwards facing legs, the same as actual cats and dogs, whereas as soon as you came to Oblivion, they walked like humans. So they do this quite often, and I can't say that one game particularly should be punished for it, and I do think that this game is being overly punished for certain design choices. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? I haven't gone that far into the story, and I know a lot of the complaints about this game is they've watered things down, especially when it comes to dialogue options and the fact that even when you're trying to be quite a bad character, quite hard, you come across as saying quite nice stuff. I get it, I do understand that, but game developers do have to take care of things these days. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can understand why they have to do it, because all it takes is one bad review, and for the wrong reasons I'm talking about, and that company gets cancelled. And it's a horrible state of affairs, but it is very, very true. BioWare is in a rough spot at the moment. They've had 2 games which have pretty much bombed. I mean, I never was a huge fan of the Mass Effect world. I don't know why. I played 2 and 3, but it wasn't something that I can say was my favourite universe. I never played the last one, but I do know that it received extremely bad reviews. It had a lot of bugs and various other issues. Now, Dragon Age has always been one of my favourite franchises from BioWare. I absolutely loved Dragon Age Origins. I felt Dragon Age 2 was a bit of a misstep, and Dragon Age Inquisition I thoroughly enjoyed as well. Still not as much as Dragon Age Origins, but I really did enjoy it. I would say that this is, yes, it's a little bit simpler, but, and this is the big but for me, I much prefer the combat. Now that is going to be a very controversial take, because one of the things with Dragon Age was always the fact that you could switch between your party and you could make them do whatever you wanted. It was very much a tactical game where your character basically auto-attacked as soon as you selected an enemy, and you just selected the special abilities that you wanted them to do. It has completely changed for this game. So now combat is real time. It has a parry dodge system, and it has more of an ARPG style combat. And I love that. I must admit, it's something that I never thought I would experience in a Dragon Age game. And to be honest, it's really opened it up for me. It really does feel like a Dragon Age game, but different. And that's kind of what I wanted. Now, as I say, I've only played a certain amount of this game. I've probably done 2.5 hours out of my 5-hour trial. The rest of the time I was reading things, so I don't consider that to be gameplay. Although, in reality, it is part of the game, so it is part of the experience. But as for actually interacting with the world, etc., I probably spent, as I say, about 2.5 hours. And I like what I've played and seen. I really must say that. I think the character models are actually really good, as I mentioned before, notwithstanding the Canary. And I don't get why people are saying they've been cartoonified, because Dragon Age characters always have been a little bit on the cartoony side. Even when you saw, like, Alistair in the first one with a very rubbery complexion and things like that. I would say what they've done in this game is they've actually made them a little more current gen. Very smooth lines, really good looking. The only thing I would say is every single character appears to have an American accent so far, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but when you consider in Dragon Age 2, and even Dragon Age Inquisition, the characters all had different voices. So, for instance, the elves in Dragon Age 2, for example, had Welsh or Gaelic accents, whereas they're all American in this game. That's just something for, I don't know, it's something to consider, that I've probably not seen all of the characters. In fact, I haven't seen all of the characters so far, but they do all appear to have quite a strong American accent. Maybe Neve or Nev, whatever her name is. Possibly, if I'm remembering correctly, maybe hers is more on the English side, but I think it's still got an American twang. It does give more of a closed feel to the game, that people aren't from different regions, they're not from different cultures, they're all speaking with the standard language of the area. Let's go into other things. Now, you just saw on the screen a control wheel. Now, that control wheel allows you to select the skills of your party and yourself. Now, I said before that it's not tactical, and in a way it isn't, because that skill wheel, although it allows you control what skills your party use, you can't control your party. So you can't move your party to where you want them or anything like that. You can select an enemy and tell a certain party member to attack that target, but that's about all you can do. Now, I don't have a problem with that, because one of the issues I have with party games is it removes you from the immersion of the combat. That's, again, probably a controversial take when you're talking about a game like Dragon Age. But for me, I much prefer the instantaneous, I am controlling a character and I can issue orders to the people in my party. Makes much more sense to me. Skills and everything are quite important in a game like this, and they have gone again more along the action RPG route, and I do like that as well. So if I just quickly cut to what these skill trees look like, hopefully you'll be able to see what I mean. So you have this almost Diablo or Path of Exile style maze of skills that you can pick from, and you have different specializations depending on what route you go. So you have survival for your defensive character, Grey Warden, which my background for my character actually is. You have things like your Mournwatch, which is a bit more of a battle mage style. You have somebody who really focuses on abilities, etc, etc. And you can pick those skills as you go. Now, some of them are passive skills and some of them are activated abilities. And then you go into your specializations and have more advanced versions. Now, for me, that again is something really nice. So you can actually see at the bottom of the screen, I currently have 2 skills equipped. Now, I can change those whenever I want, just as you would expect from an RPG. And I like I say, I really do enjoy it, and the skills do feel pretty impressive. I say pretty impressive, I mean, one of the skills for the warrior is a kick, and he does a double-footed jumping kick. But when you do the Titan Stomp, for instance, it looks really nice, especially as it does quite a cinematic drawback and stomp, and then the enemy gets affected. Even big enemies tend to get overwhelmed and knocked to the ground, so they really are quite nice to use. Now, just like other Dragon Ages, as you're exploring the world, you will find things to pick up. In this game, they are highlighted, especially if they have currency or something along those lines in them, just as that chest was. Again, I'm not quite sure that's something I really like. I liked the fact that sometimes it was quite hard to see what you're looking at, but at the same time, I don't think it's a huge problem. And I think because the world is as beautiful and as full as it is now, maybe they needed that visual cue to help you find these things. One thing about the Dragon Age universe is all of the areas have always been quite linear. There have been no real open world areas, and it's exactly the same here. They are large scale, but they are a region that you enter. So as soon as you finish the region, you'll go through a door or a cave and it will load a new area. There are no open world sections to Dragon Age, and there never have been. So they've continued with the theme and I suppose the historical methodology of building their worlds. And again, I think they've done a very good job. We have to talk about certain things, and one of the things that we have to talk about is the fact that not only have they dumbed down the character conversations, etc., there have been complaints about interactions and what I'm going to call the romance scenes. Now, I have not got to any of those, so I cannot comment on them, but I can believe that they have been simplified. And I say that because, as I said, conversations in this do appear to be a little less rigid. And by that I mean, if you pick the aggressive stance, which was always depicted by an armoured man crossing his arms, he does tend to say, or my character does tend to say some pretty standard and not very forceful lines. He's not going, what if I want to kill you or anything like that. He just says, okay, that's enough, whatever. And there's nothing really that aggressive involved. So I can believe that they might have, how should I say, not dumbed down, that's completely the wrong term, but they might have simplified and potentially reduced the amount of on-screen things for romances, etc. Again, is that going to detract from the actual game? I suppose it depends on how much you get involved in the character. Personally, for me, I don't think it's going to detract too much, but again, I'm only 2.5 hours of actual gameplay in, and I think I spent a couple of 100 hours with my character in Dragon Age Inquisition, so I'm expecting there's going to be a lot more things that I would learn if I played for longer. Now, the other thing that I want to go through is your actual character. So, as with most RPGs, you can actually change the look of your character. So, if we look here, we have different armor that you can use, and it's light, medium, or heavy. Obviously, being the type of character I am, I'm wearing heavy armor. You have 2 different types of weapons. You have a 2-hander and you have a sword and shield as the warrior. I have not played the other classes yet. You have a helmet that you can equip. which I do not have, but you can also hide it if you want. And you have 4 things that you can utilize. Now, at this stage, 4 things, that makes no sense. 4 accessories you can utilize. Now, at this stage, the bars at the bottom are showing your skills, but I didn't know what each of them was, so I didn't realize the one on the far right is your special ability. So I was trying to equip another skill in that because it was flashing at me, and I couldn't do it. Okay, so I think you can see from that the character models do not look too bad, especially when you consider what they looked like in the original game and the sequels. So Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition. The dwarves have always looked a little bit, I don't know, stocky, I think is the correct term. I mean, they are short and quite robust, so it makes sense. One thing that I would say is the design of demons and darkspawn has changed in this game, so don't go expecting to see exactly what you're used to. They have changed the design, but they do in most games, so do not consider that to be necessarily a bad thing. These things here are demons, animated suits, whatever you might call them. I've never seen these things before in any of the games, but they're not too bad. I have fought Darkspawn in this, and I can definitely say that the Darkspawn do not look like they did in Dragon Age Origins, so just be prepared for that, because when you first see them you might not understand what they are. You may do, it might just be me that's a little bit slow. I mentioned before the combat being real time. You can probably see that on screen. One thing that you do have is you do have Arkham Asylum style indicators above your head. Yellow means press your parry button, and red means dodge. White means get ready. So it is a relatively simple system, and it does give you quite a bit of timing. So you do have quite a bit of time to get out of the way. Now I'm playing on Adventurer mode, which is the default mode. There are, I believe, at least 2 difficulties higher than that. So if you want less time to be able to dodge or parry, select a higher difficulty and be prepared to probably die lots. But there we go. That's just my comments. Now overall, I stick with what I said at the beginning. I actually really enjoy my time playing this game. I do not have long left on my trial, and I will probably be buying this in the future. I doubt I will be making any additional videos on it unless this particular video does extremely well and has lots of comments, simply because single player games are always a little bit, I don't know. They always seem to have less views than anything else, probably because people want to see what they can do with their multiplayer and their friends. But it is a really good game. And just to go back to my comment earlier, Darkspawn. Yep, that's a Darkspawn. Doesn't really look like they used to, as I say, but that's what they look like now. There are some different ones, but yeah. Not quite sure what I think of them, but I can understand why they have changed them. Graphically, they do look a lot better than they used to. But as I was saying, I am really enjoying my time with the game, and I would like to get this and spend more time building my character, building my party, and seeing exactly where this story will take me. I spent a lot of time in both Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition around Solus. Now obviously Dragon Age 2 was the big Solus game, and he was a prime member of my party in that. So getting to experience a different side of him in this game, for me, is really quite nice. I like the visuals. I have no problem with the character models apart from the Canary, and I like the environments. They really are excellently put together. I've not experienced any bugs at all, and that's not to say there won't be any. And I really do enjoy the new combat system, including the new party controls, where you go up to something, you highlight it, and it will tell you who can actually mess about with or interact with it. Very simple, but very effective. Overall, if you have liked the previous Dragon Age games, I do not necessarily think you are going to dislike this one. I hope that the negative reviews that you have seen where they've given it ridiculously low scores aren't going to put you off, because I do think you will get some enjoyment out of this, especially if you like RPGs in general. If you are looking for an exact copy of Dragon Age Origins, for example, then you will not get that with this game. But then Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition didn't give you a complete repeat of Dragon Age Origins. So we've got to expect there are going to be differences every time we get a new game. I would say this is definitely on par with Inquisition, if not better than Inquisition. It's still not quite at the same level as Origins, in my opinion, but that's purely because you don't have your separate origin story for your character, and I really did like that in the first one. I do like the fact that you can play as a Grey Warden in this, although it's less of a story about the Grey Wardens, and I think that's another reason I preferred Origins, because the whole idea of Grey Wardens and their rituals and things like that just made the first game really something special. They lost that in 2. Inquisition gave you the inquisitorial role, where all of a sudden you're someone special again, but you still didn't have that mystical protector of the world against the blight situation. The fact that you can actually play as a Grey Warden in this is nice, but I haven't seen anything where that makes a difference at the moment in this game, and it would have been nice if that was something pivotal. The fact that you can choose to be a Grey Warden as well, rather than just needing to be one for the game, also indicates to me that it's not going to have a part to play in the story in the slightest. Overall, I would actually recommend this game. If you're a bit unsure, do wait until it's in the sale. Now, for example, or at the time of recording anyway. This video is probably not going to come out for a few weeks from the time of recording because of the ones that I've already got stored up. But at least in December and January it looks like it's on sale, so hopefully this video will be out in time for you to at least experience, or at least have the chance of getting some money off this game if you are interested in giving it a try. The other thing is EA Play does have this 5-hour trial, so really do download it, because I really think it's going to give you an idea of what you can expect. And I don't really think I need to say any more. Overall, actually very shocked that people have given it such a low score, and very happy that I did give it a try, because, as I've said a few times now, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. Right, I'm going to leave the video there. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate you watching, and please make sure you click the like button. Subscribe if you are new to the channel, or if you haven't subscribed previously. Please do leave me a comment down below. Let me know whether you completely disagree with my take and you think this is the worst game ever made. Let me know whether you agree with what I've said, or let me know if it has changed your opinion as to whether or not you're going to even try Dragon Age Veilguard. I'm going to go. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you had a great Christmas break, and I hope you're ready for more gaming and more videos for this new year. Thanks a lot again, guys. I look forward to seeing you for my next video very soon. You all take care. Bye for now.